We're
That's perfect. I'll quickly open the Facebook group. Uh, okay.
and we're gonna be super original. We're gonna ask everyone where they're tuning in from right now while we wait for people to join.
Yeah, that
Super
is,
original. No one's ever done that before. So we'll do that. Where's everyone tuning in from?
yeah, that's real original, Justin. Is it Justin or is it AI Justin? Just AI in.
It
That's a poor joke.
uh, that's funny. Um, yeah, I'm excited for today's lunch and learn. It's been a little while since we've had a lunch and learn, so I'm just excited to hang out with you. We unfortunately had to reschedule our lunch and learn because last week we had some conflicts with scheduling and all sorts of stuff because
And
things were.
you were traveling as well, Justin, if I'm not wrong. You traveled.
I did travel. I just so happened to
Yeah.
have been in the same room as Harshit last week. That was going to be one of the exciting things we did on the live was actually sitting next to each other to do it. But life happens, so
Yeah.
we had to make some
Yeah.
changes.
We planned a nice surprise, and surprise was that me and Justin in the same room doing the lunch and learn, and some things came up. We figured that hey, we have to now since we promised a surprise, we will have to come up with a surprise, and we worked hard, and we do have a surprise for everyone. So yeah, just so you know. So Brad here. Hey Brad. Brad. Okay.
Cool.
All right. I think people are tuning in, Justin. So I
Yep.
think let's wait for one more minute to let more people join in, and then we'll start
Yeah.
with the
Tell me,
all the new things that we have.
tell everyone about your life. What's going on?
Oh, what's life? Yeah, just busy with work. It's all like sweat, blood and tears, as they say. Making so fueling the unicorns. Yeah, I can see the subtitles but cannot hear the audio. Is it just me, Facebook user? Uh,
Hey,
hey
Jennifer
y'all.
Jones. Hey, y'all.
Okay, can anyone hear us? If you can just let us know if you can hear us. I think there's one comment that says that they cannot. Okay, hear the audio. Okay, perfect. So yeah, just nothing much. Just life's happening, breaking new grounds and innovation when it comes to Aftershoot. A lot of surprises coming in for people very soon. A lot of which we cannot talk about publicly until we drop those surprises. So yeah, just stay tuned is all I'll say. Stay tuned. What's up with you, Justin?
I slept like 10 hours last night. So I well, I flew into India and I remember I had jet lag for like 3 days. So I
Yeah.
came back and I'm undoing all that jet lag. So I couldn't sleep well, and then last night I slept so well because I knew how awesome all the things we're doing. So I'm super excited to share these things. Just a quick agenda for today, so everyone kind of knows what we're going to do. We're going to show you a little bit of the latest update. The My Selections feature is like it's breaking the internet in my opinion. It's one of the coolest things that we've innovated with. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what comes next, but we really want to just hear from you, right? We want you guys to ask questions and answer them and give you all the status updates and everything we possibly can. So yeah, with that being said, I'll dive right into to the latest update.
Sounds great.
So, welcome to your brand new updated version of Aftershoot. So, hopefully, you've all had the chance to download this. If you have not, we're going to show you how to do that today as well. But we want to make sure that everyone's on this latest version because we've done a lot of changes to it, including my favorite feature called My Selections. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, you can head to aftershoot.com/downloads. This is version 2.6.900. And if you're within it, you'll see all these fancy new little things here. So you have check for updates and you can see if you are up to date on the latest version within Aftershoot. Now, if you're on an older version of Aftershoot, that may not appear. So if your Aftershoot's not looking as pretty as this one, you may still have to head to aftershoot.com/downloads because there is a bug in some versions that didn't allow people to check for updates that we discovered later when everyone was on the old version. So we've got that fixed up now, so you can absolutely dive in there.
I would like to just add in a point, Justin. So a lot of people ask that, hey, oh, everyone else is on the new version, but when I check for updates, I don't get an update. So there could be two reasons. One is the bug that Justin mentioned. It was a bug with the version from last January, right? That had this bug. The second reason for that is once we roll out an update, we don't roll it out to everyone at once because, again, as you roll out new things, there might be some bugs because we can only test the app out under certain circumstances. We only have so many cameras and so many files. There are certain things that we might miss out on. So we first roll it out to, say, 10% of the users. We wait for a day or two and see if everything's okay. We monitor our chat support, we monitor our error reporting dashboard to see that, hey, is everything okay or not? And once everything is green, we extend the window to, let's say, 20 to 30% of users, and so on and so forth. So right now, there are like two buckets. So one bucket is people who were already using the beta version of editing. So everyone who was on the editing beta version has received this update. So everyone who's on the editing version of the app, who used the editing version of the app, is now has now the option to open the app and they'll be prompted with an update. Everyone else who was not on the editing version, 50% of those users have been rolled out this update, and we will roll out the update to more people, hopefully by tomorrow or the day after. So we uh, we expect to roll it out to 100% of our users by this week. So in case you haven't received the update, either wait or just go to aftershoot.com/downloads to download the update directly. So just a clarification.
Yeah, we don't want to overwhelm our amazing support staff. So we don't want to roll out, to thousands of users at the same time. We want to make sure that it's kind of staged a little bit so we can find some bugs. So actually, talking about bugs, I've seen this a bunch of times. Some users who are on 2.6.800 something were using our new feature that was image rotation. Now, if you were to download 2.6.900, you will see that image rotation has then disappeared. And that's one of those things that just happens. We found some bugs with certain camera models. So we had to go back in, pull the feature, and retweak some things for a few users. So if you are someone who actually got one of those first test updates, and then now you're saying, hey, where is the image rotation? It's coming back, right? So we're launching it again. But we had to fix some things before we sent it out.
And being more making ourselves more regular with updates. So every update we plan to roll out update in the first week of every month. So I keep on saying June update. That means the next update will be dropping in the first week of June. So around 7th to 10th. And we expect to follow the same cycle for every update after that. So just so that everyone knows when to expect the update and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
All right, Justin, take it away with my selections. I would love to see how it works.
So I wanted to show off my selections a lot because I've seen some questions. I've seen some people kind of not really sure what it means, how it works. So my selections is a brand new feature. You'll see it right over here. This allows you to actually make your own selections out of what Aftershoot has done. And this is amazing for those users who are saying, hey, you're giving me too many images. Remember, we designed Aftershoot to try and give you a version of everything so that you can really get a good feel of what the wedding day looks like, or your family session or boudoir session, whatever it is. We want to make sure that you get a good representation of it. So in that case, you will find that you do have some extra photos, and I'll show you the prime example. It's this one of this very handsome man with a beautiful mustache. That photo, I don't want it, right? Obviously, and I can reject it away. But instead, if I were only looking to deliver, say, 600 photos from this wedding, it may be easier for me just to pick out the 600 I want to deliver. So that's where my selections comes in, is that now, instead of having to get rid of extra stuff, I can simply just choose what I want out of the AI selections. So to get started, you'll notice that there's a new circle right here below every photo once I've turned on my selections. So when I turn it off, turn it on, you'll notice that little change there. So by simply clicking on that, I'm now adding it to my selections. And you'll see here, There's a 1 next to it. I've just added it to my personal selections. Now, my favorite part is there's keyboard shortcuts. So this gets super easy. I can simply go to my images. I can click on the letter D, and that will add it to my selections. So now my process is as simple as just selecting out some of my favorites. And it doesn't end there. You can dictate if you'd like us to add the click to my selection. So in spray can mode, you'll see I entered spray can mode. I've selected my selections. Now, every time I left click on a photo, it's going to add it into my selections. And now I can still use my keyboard shortcuts to cycle through my duplicates. So period and comma for those who are curious. So I can still cycle through them and then click on a different version than the one Aftershoot selected. So now I have a really great organizational tool to help me a little bit more if I want to spend more time in my manual culling process. So instead of letting the AI take over a lot of it, I'm kind of splitting it 50-50 here. I'm letting the AI categorize a lot of the photos for me. I'm letting it suggest some of the better photos, but I'm in here just picking out what I really want from the selections, making revisions, and then coming down to a final curated set of photos. Now I'm going to exit spray can mode and show you what to do with this. So now that I've selected, say, these 9 photos, we'll pretend that I only want 9 photos from this wedding. I can simply click on my selections, and I have a couple options on what I can do here. I can either select all and drag and drop them right into my software, whether it's Capture One or Lightroom or Bridge. I can just drag and drop these photos right in there. So it's only going to open those 9 photos for me. Or if I wanted to keep all of my images in Lightroom, that's my personal workflow. So I love to actually import everything and then filter by stars and colors. I can simply just change the stars and colors within this. So I can just hit, the keyboard shortcut 6 would change it to a different color, which is red. So now I've got these images classified in their own space. So you can make some revisions to them if you'd like. You don't have to. Again, you can always just drag and drop the simple ones in there. But if you are like me and you do want to see all of the images in Lightroom as you're editing, you could do that as well. And that's like my selections in its smallest, most condensed, abbreviated form. But it's a really powerful tool that I think a lot of you guys will really enjoy to use.
Awesome. Can I also use my selections in, say, a different quick filter like closed eyes or blur, or is it only available in selected images?
Absolutely. You can still go through your closed eyes and your blur. So I can pop in here and see if there's any photo that I want. Okay, I'll add this one back in. So I can simply click on it, and that will now appear in my selections. It'll retain its star and color rating as it was, so you can get a good feel of where it came from if you'd like to. But it does allow me that luxury of using it in any one of the filters.
No. Okay. No, that's great. What else is new, Justin? What else do we have?
All right, so I wanted to do this one really fast because I think it's super important. This is a different, actually, let me go, I'll create a new album here. This is a different school pipeline. So I'm going to restart this call, and we're going to change this over to school photography. So if you were using the school photography mode before, you're going to notice a big change. I think we've seen it a couple times in the Facebook group. People are saying, hey, a lot of warned images, a lot of things that are, not necessarily warnings are ending up in my warnings. And so the reason is because we actually built, I got a queued project. Sorry, let me pause this one really quick. The reason being is because we've made some pretty big changes to our school portrait pipeline. And this is because we got a lot of feedback from some photographers, and they were looking for something very specific when they're photographing school portraits. Now, really important defining mode here. If you were using the school photography pipeline for more of like event photography within schools, this is going to kind of change that whole thing, and we wouldn't recommend doing those in this pipeline again. So I'll show you where you would end up with that. So if you were doing, say, school functions, you would probably want to go more towards the weddings and engagements or others category now. Because what the school pipeline does is we added some brand new unicorns to look at the subjects in the photo. So what we're going to do is actually look at the person in each photo, assess them, figure out what poses they're in, and start segmenting it so you're getting a better representation of each student in each different pose. And then what we're doing is we're actually putting all of the extra redundant images in your warnings. Because again, we don't want to make that difficult decision for you, but we do want to try to alleviate some of your workflow. So you can simply filter by your warnings. I think I have like 6 of this album in here. I'm like, what? Oh, here it is. Okay. So simply filtering these, filtering by your warnings will allow you to eliminate a lot of the redundant images. And I'll show you how that actually works here in a second. But this was something that was requested because if you were doing school portraits and let's say you do 2 or 3 poses per child, we wanted to be able to give you one of every pose so that you have all the different versions, but we also didn't want to give you way too many photos. And that's what happened before in our school pipeline, right? You were seeing tons of the same kid or not enough of each kid. So now we've really fine-tuned this process to make it a lot easier for school portrait photographers to go in, see each photo, and just make sure they have one of every pose from every child.
We also did something around QR codes, right, Justin?
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. So as many of you have requested, you're using QR codes for your photos. So when you're doing these school portraits, you're taking the picture of the QR code for each student so that the metadata is embedded in there. And so what we've done is we've also made sure that we're flagging out these QR codes so they're not going to end up in the blurred category or the closed eye category. We recognize that you have a QR code and then put it where it belongs so that each student has the QR code, then their pictures, or vice versa, however your process is. But the QR codes will now actually appear as well within your view, so within your selections.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's awesome. And this is where we love feedback, right? So just to reiterate who we are as kind of a company, we love to be involved and we love to know what we need to do. So this was something that I believe at Imaging USA back in January, a couple of photographers there came up to me and said, hey, this is my process. And I would like, this to work this way. So we sat down and we spent a couple of months tweaking it and building QR codes and testing it and figuring out. We built those new unicorns to identify each student and all of those pieces. So we had a much better school photography pipeline for school photographers. Now, again, I'm going to reiterate it one more time because I have seen the post in the Facebook group a couple times. People are saying, hey, I used to use the school photography mode and now like all of my images are warned. And that's because it's looking for the person and then the redundancy of the person. So you'll see actually, as we watch this, my warnings they went from like 9 to 42, right? So they just kept climbing up. And what that is doing is showing me these are just redundant photos. They've already seen this child multiple times in all their different poses. So these are just redundant photos that we don't necessarily need to have. They still appear if I just click on my selections, right? So I have the selected images here. All of these photos are still here. So my warnings will still filter in, as you can see here, but it's saying, hey, you've already got this photo. You've already got these photos. So it's just flagging out some of these pictures that already appeared, right? These are essentially the same. It's letting me know they're there. I can always choose one or the other if I want, but it's just warning me that I have this. And again, this is not a school portrait session, so it's not going to totally function the way a school portrait session would. I don't have QR codes. I don't have actual poses of students in the same position. So yeah, that's the new school photography one. Like I said, if you were using it before for different school functions that aren't necessarily like posed school portraits, you're going to want to dive into either weddings or the other category to start tweaking on them there instead.
Ben has a question, Justin. He said that he does a lot of corporate portraits. So would that be the same pipeline as school portraits, or is there a
Um,
separate corporate portrait profile? I believe it should be the same profile because if the style of shooting is similar, wherein you use QR codes or name tags, I think it should be the same. It should be the same pipeline.
Absolutely. You'll want to, this will actually be advantageous for you here as well, because again, if you're doing multiple poses of each corporate, subject, it'll do that same functionality. So it'll just cluster the photos together and then identify the different poses and look at all the different pieces. So you're getting, say you did 3 different poses or 3 different things with each person. It's going to help you in that culling process. If you're doing a single one as well, it still functions. So it'll still work just like that. So it'll allow you to just have one of each person.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Justin, I think we missed one thing that's pretty big. We did add support for different languages.
Oh my goodness. How could I forget? So I am not going to show you what happens because it's going to quit and restart. But I'm going to show you how to change the language. So Bonjour and Hola. That was so big. If you head up to the top bar here, you'll be able to click on languages, and then you can now choose whether you'd like Spanish or French. And there's more coming. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have German, Portuguese coming very soon. And if you want us to support more languages, please do let us know. You can write to us from the in-app support. You can make a post in the Facebook group. You can reply to this live. You can just add a comment letting us know which language you want us to support next. So yeah, we have a lot of languages being added to Aftershoot very, very soon.
Awesome. Now, I wanted to show one more thing off. You just saw it really quick. I mean, I could show off things all day, but one of the requests we've gotten a lot recently was the ability to see different categories. So what we've done is we've revamped this upper bar here to allow you to actually multi-select filters. So I want to see just my green selected photos, but I also want to see what's in my blur category. So if I click on my red, which is my blur, you'll see now both appear. So I can see all of my images that are in focus and selected, but I can also see my blur here as well. So some photographers are saying, hey, I don't want to have to go through the blurred category or those other categories as I'm going. And this is a great way just to kind of do that. If you were, let's see, find a wedding here. If I were to say have a wedding shoot and I have 360 blurred photos in here, if I wanted to filter this to just see my blurred and my selected, I can absolutely do that. In this case, for me, it's not, my images are really either in focus or out of focus. But if you're looking for a little bit more flexibility and just kind of looking to see what options are available to you, I can do the same with closed eyes if I want, or I can basically see all 3 categories here, selected, blurred, and closed eyes, while still leaving my duplicate images stacked behind it. So I'm not reviewing all my photos. I'm simply reviewing the 3 main categories all at the same time. Now, this really helps out when you go into my selections, because if you're going to start just pulling out the images you want, in this case, we had 1,700 selected photos, and I'll probably deliver about 1,000 of those, right? So for me, this is a great place to actually just use my selections to pull out some of my favorites, leave my duplicates stacked up so I don't need to go through that extra 3,000 photos. But it's giving me a lot of flexibility in this process by simply using these filters. Now, of course, make sure you hit clear filters if you want to go back to that other view where you just see whichever category you're in, selections, my selections, blurred, etc.
Justin, we have a question. Someone, I don't see the name, but it says Facebook user. I think they posted in our Facebook group. So I'll quickly find their name as well. But they asked that if they can see an example of culling in rather than culling out in order to speed up the culling process.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
absolutely.
Gabby.
Awesome. So I'm going to actually run it on these photos. These are my children. I'm going to, oh, I already did it on this one. Sorry. Let me go to this one. So these are my kids. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use the My Selections feature to cull this live in person right now. So for me, I'm just looking for a handful of photos. because, kids are a little bit crazy. They never look at the camera. They're all over the place. So what I would do in this case, I personally love culling in the grid view because it gives me a lot of flexibility. So I can see their key faces here. I can just start clicking on some photos and see if there is the one. So here's the one. Everyone's looking at the camera. I'm happy with this. I'm going to use the D key to select it and add it to my selections. Now I'm going to go through and find the rest. Let's see. This is another great one. That's their cousin here. And I'm going to just go through and I want like one of each kid, right? Because I want to just hang these up on the wall when you walk in the house. Ooh, and I just added this one, but I don't love it. So I'm going to deselect it. I like this one a little bit better. So again, just kind of cruising through, looking for the one photo of each kid that I'll hang up on the wall.
And which keyboard shortcut you use, Justin, to add these to my selections?
Yeah, I'm using the D key. So by using the D key, it allows me to actually add them right in. Or again, you can simply click on that little circle in the lower corner here. I'm going to add this one just because it's funny. My kids are a little bit goofy, as I'm sure many of our kids are. They don't love taking pictures all the time. So again, I'm just going through. I really want a handful of photos, a couple cute moments here or there, but I just want to have some stuff to hang up on the wall. So it doesn't make sense for me to go through and reject, say, 130 photos. Instead, I'm just picking out the ones that I want to edit, the ones that I want to take to the next place. So let's see, do I like this one? Yeah, that's good. So again, we're just going through. Actually, I'm going to Control Z that because I actually like this one a little bit better. So again, it's really flexible. It's a nice way to go through things. Just this is one of our support agents' lovely little daughters here as well. So I did some fun pictures of everybody, but just picking out what I really want. Again, we're up to 13. And we're going to finish it off with that one. So now I've got 14 selections. I'm going to save my changes. And I can simply click on the My Selections tab. I have my 14 photos that my client wants. I can select all and simply drag and drop them right into Lightroom and then begin the process from there, or Capture One or Bridge. Now I'm going to show something off that I showed off recently. We did the AIBP. We had a webinar with AIBP. Now, one of the things that's really cool about My Selections is that you can use this if you are a photographer who's doing in-person sales or doing client reviews on site, because what you can do is actually have Aftershoot cluster these similar images together. And I could, let's say, come to a photo and I can say, hey, do you like this photo? And they say, yes, but I don't like this child's face. Here, let me make it better. I don't like this one smile. And I can say, okay, let me see what other options are available. And then I can swap one out. So I could say, hey, maybe I like this photo a little bit better. And I can just use the My Selections feature to add it into My Selections. Sorry, I turned My Selections off. So I can go through and just say, okay, this is the one that my client wants. So now I have the curated selection of the photos that my client wants. So again, if you're doing in-person sales, this is actually a tool you can use to review it. It works really well. I know boudoir photographers love this feature because they can actually sit with them post-session and say, okay, great. Do you like this photo? Yes, you like this photo, but you don't love your face. Okay, let me see what other options there are. Oh, that's the one you want. Perfect. I added it to My Selections. And then again, I just have that curated set of photos that the client picked out of the AI selections.
Yeah, that's perfect. Stefan has a question. When can we expect for edits to be released? So edits is already out in public beta, and we'll talk about edits next after we have like one more question that we can answer. So again, edits is already available for everyone to try. If you go to our website, download the latest version of the app, you should have access to edits. It's currently in beta because we are pending the release of certain things that we believe will make this a stable product, so to speak. So in terms of time frame, we're looking at anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. But don't quote me on that. Again, things may take longer.
Everybody quote him on that.
Things may take longer. It might be possible that, hey, we release the public build in 2 weeks. I mean, who knows? But so again, we're still working on getting some things ready. so that we are proud of edits, and we can say that, hey, okay, this is the best first version that we want to share with everyone, and actually start charging people for it. So
Yeah.
again, it's still in beta. It's free while it's in beta. So
Yeah, we wanted to, there's a couple of snags and issues we wanted to fix up, and a couple new things that we wanted to add in before we really let it out. And again, it's all based on your feedback. So if you're on Aftershoot edits right now and you're facing issues with whatever it may be when it comes to editing, let us know. You can reach out to support. They may want to set you up on a call with one of our dev team members to learn more or see what's going on. But your feedback is really how we drive this, right? We want to make it the best product that we can. So whenever you have those issues, do reach out, because that's how we really determine when it's ready for public release.
yeah, Stefan did say that the edits are great for him, and he already has the founder's deal. So thanks, Stefan.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Justin.
And again, yeah, I think we talk about again being open and listening to everyone, because yeah, I mean, we are not building the app for ourselves, we are building the app for you. So please, anything that you think, a lot of the features that you see in the app that we introduce are based off of user requests. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, just get in touch with us. You can get a hold of Justin, me, or the support team from the in-app support, and we're always open to feedback and feature requests. Okay, we got a couple of more questions. Let me just go through those one by one. Gabby has a question asking, how many rounds of culling do you usually do? She edits roughly 20,000 images per wedding. So once Aftershoot is done with the first round of culling, she will go in and manually cull it down further. Then she will go through and do my selections and the final batch. Do you think that's an effective way of doing things, Justin? Or how would you recommend her
that's
to use Aftershoot?
That's a great question. So, what I would personally recommend is I would actually 20,000 is a pretty big starting point. So I know that we're not going to get you down that far on your first round. But instead of going for a second round, what I would recommend is taking advantage of the my selections early on, right? So let me rerun something here. So what I would do in this case is I would call this one again. I would pick family portraits for this one. I'm gonna actually leave my blur to moderate, because I'm okay if they're if they're maybe not tack sharp. So I can leave that there. I would cluster them on loose, right? So I want to get as many photos together as I can, because that'll really reduce the amount of photos that I'm going to look at. So I'll let it go through that. And then what I would personally do is actually go through and just use the My Selections tab right off the bat. I would just start adding the things in that you really want from that initial cull, because it seems like you're going to be running through multiple times, but you're going to end up with essentially the same result, right? When you run and you start culling stuff out and then start culling stuff back in, you're essentially doing a secondary cull that doesn't have a total impact, right? Because you're not rejecting everything on your final cull either. You're using my selection. So you're kind of like culling out, culling in. So in this case, I would just go through using the my selections tab like I showed, and just kind of pull out what you really want. And I do have a wedding that I can kind of show you what that would look like. But in this case, I can't show you that. That's secret. Don't look at that. Don't look at that one either. So sorry. So like here, I have 1,200 photos. This is actually really close to what I would do, but I would just start in this space and just go through and say I only want those really important moments to edit. And I would just start using my selections right off the bat, right? If you started with 20,000 and you got it down to 10,000, I wouldn't go through and spend extra time culling away at that point. I would literally just start going and saying, hey, are these moments the ones that I really want? Because like here, I have 4 photos. I'm going to select all 4 because that's really what I'm doing, right? I would just select them and hit the D key and add them to my selections, because I would deliver all 4 of these to my client. But I would spend the time to just do one really kind of in-depth my selections cull, where I'm just pulling in the stuff I really want and tweaking and adjusting and so on and so forth, instead of doing multiple culls in a row.
And just so you can make the grid smaller so that you can see more images as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Ah.
So this toggle here allows you to actually see bigger and smaller grids. You know, for me personally, I know it's a little bit slower to do it this way, but this image here is big enough for me to tell if it's a good photo, right? I can get a good idea of what it is. And I simply click on it and then I can see that I'm totally missed focus, right? So it's good for me to, you know, it's a warned image, right? It's showing me a warning because I apparently missed focus on all of these photos, but it's really, this is like the little tips and tricks as you kind of pick it up, is if I see a warning, I can click on it. Again, I'm just looking at those key faces, but the grid view is a really powerful tool for me to be able to see what's here with those key faces. I can see that they're all in focus. I can see this photo. I could just hit the D key. I can add it right in. I don't need to do anything else. Same here, like this photo, they're in focus. I'm happy. I love it. And just continue through. Some people do like to have a smaller grid. For me, this is a little bit, if I had a bigger screen, it would make more sense. But this does also help you get through a lot more images a lot more quickly when you have 4 wide like this and 4 deep.
Okay. Okay, we have a few more questions. Let's take them one by one and then we'll jump onto the edits section of the webinar. Okay, the first question by Stefan, is there a limit on how many images I can train to unicorns in one profile? I already got like 15,000 images. We don't have any limit. The biggest profile that we've seen was built on 80,000 images. However, we don't recommend that. The person who made that profile had like 4-second shooters with 3 different cameras, and they wanted to build a profile with all the different styles of images and all the different locations and lighting conditions to build a solid, robust profile. But if you're a single person, or if you have just one more photographer shooting with you, like just, I mean, it depends. Again, if you feel that the profile is good with 15,000 images, perfect, nothing like it. If you feel that you need to add more images, go for it. But just don't add images for the sake of adding it, because more data is not always good. Because
Yeah,
if you, let's say, if you have a specific
I can attest to this. Sorry
yeah.
to interrupt here, but I wanted to actually just show off some of my profiles and how many images are in them. So here I actually have 2 very similar profiles. I have my mega profile and my mega clone. Now, the difference between these is almost 20,000 images, right? 15,000.
Mhm.
What I found is once I surpassed 50,000 images, it did not get any better, and I actually had to revert one of them. So it actually started getting worse. And the reason this is because when you start adding a lot of very similar images, it starts kind of dragging down the quality of the profile per se in one direction. So for me, I generally always photograph outside unless it's raining. So I don't have a ton of indoor situations. I have a couple barn weddings a year. But what happened was the larger I made my profile, the more it started favoring outdoor conditions and neglecting the indoor conditions. And so what it actually did is started swaying what the indoor conditions were edited like, because there was so few images of them. And it's not to say that you need to balance out your profile. Like it doesn't need to be like 2,500 of this, 2,500 of that. But there is something to be said for not having too much data in one direction. So if you're finding that your profile is not quite there yet, you're going to be better off really adding images that fix where it's not quite there. So let's say it's not really great at indoor situations. I wouldn't continue adding outdoor stuff. I would only add indoor stuff at that point, because that's really where it will start picking up and learning that it's doing something wrong on the indoor pieces. So it's just one of those things. I would not, again, this is the biggest one I have right now. It's at 67,000 images. I had actually got it up to 82,000 and I made them revert it back to 67 because 80,000 images made it worse. It was like really bad. So it like totally swung the opposite direction of what it was supposed to do, because the data got so weighted towards that new set of 20,000 images. So I said, hey, just send it back. It was working really great at 67,000. But the difference between 52 and 67, there's almost no difference, right? They perform almost identical. So again, it's really the quality of the data that you give it. It matters more than the quantity.
Okay. Hey, Justin, while we're on the screen, I see a bunch of profiles, and a lot of those have names that I kind of like recall. They seem very similar. You want to tell us what you're doing with all these profiles?
Yeah, maybe. So as many of you know, we are working on some pre-built profiles that we hope to be able to share with you soon. So I do have a lot of profiles in here. Just some personal projects in here, as well as some not so personal projects and testing some things. So they're coming. And we actually want some big news we wanted to announce. We wanted to ask some users who are looking for some pre-built profiles to drop us your email, because we are going to share some pre-built profiles really soon. So we wanted to get a couple test subjects out there and see how they operate and if they're working and all of that cool stuff. So we were starting to compile our list of those people. I will actually show off. Oh, where's my Lightroom? I will actually show off some things that we're doing here, a little bit of these pre-built profiles and what they mean to users. So, but yeah, we're looking for some test subjects. So who's out there?
Perfect. Just drop your emails. I think we have a bunch of people. I think Jennifer had a perfect timing. She also asked, like, just before you started, so what's the surprise? Jennifer, this is the surprise. We are starting a closed alpha test of our pre-built profiles. So whoever wants to test these pre-built profiles out, just drop your emails. Your names won't help. So just drop your emails that you're using for Aftershoot. Just drop your emails and we will reach out to you in give or take a week's time with a couple of profiles that you can use to test the edits on. So yeah, this was supposed to be the big reveal. It wasn't as dramatic as we supposed it to be, but yeah, no, I mean it's the cat's out of the bag. We have pre-built profiles coming very soon. And yeah, if you want to test it out, please drop your emails. Our team is taking notes of all the emails that have been shared over here. So yes,
And
we'll give
so
you access to these profiles.
because this is going to stay up, and we have these pre-built profiles coming, I wanted to show something that we're kind of gonna just, again, we're rolling out pre-built profiles kind of slowly but surely, because we're working on some things, making sure they work pretty awesome. So what I wanted to show you is what it would mean to use one of our pre-built profiles that, let's say, just does exposure and white balance, and then applying your own style to it. So if you don't have that minimum set of images, or you just want a good starting point, if you were to run one of our pre-built profiles, and then simply build your own preset, which I'll teach you how to do in a second, that doesn't tweak, say, the exposure, the white balance, etc., then we can absolutely have you editing how you'd like. So here's a quick peek of what that looks like, right? So the white balance was done by the AI from that profile, but now that deep blue and that kind of bold look was just applied using a preset, and I could actually sync that across all the images if I'd like to. So let me show you sync really quick. If I were to sync it, I'm going to just take away all of these pieces, right? I don't want it to touch the exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, things that the profile edited on its own. I want it to just do my saturation and all the other sliders. So the tone curves, the HSL, everything else that this style actually produces. And then I would just click synchronize, and it would edit all of the photos using the AI's white balance, using the AI's exposure settings, etc., but then applying my style onto it. So in order to build that preset, let me pop down here. I'll show you what let me deselect that. So let's just pretend that I had the AI edit this photo, and now I want to make it look like my style. So I would come in and let's just pretend this is my style. It's super crazy, but just so you can see the difference, right? So I applied that preset to it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head up and I'm going to click create preset. And now again, what I'm going to do, I don't want it to adjust the basic pieces. Actually, I don't want it to adjust the white balance and exposure. And then I would call this, bad preset hack, so that it doesn't do the exposure and white balance. So then what I can actually do is I could sync it across everything, or wherever I put that. What did I call it? Bad preset hack. I could simply click on that, and now it's going to apply that style while leaving all of the adjustments that the AI had made to my exposure and my white balance. So it's harnessing the capabilities of the AI to do a good white balance and a good exposure, but now it's editing my photos in that really horrendous style that I just built. But I wanted to show you kind of what it looks like. So again, I built that preset that doesn't touch the exposure and the white balance. So I can use one of the Aftershoot pre-built profiles to do some of the basic stuff and then make it look like my own using my existing presets.
Very interesting. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let me just take on a few more questions. So we have Joe who's asking that he only has one big catalog for all his Lightroom folders. Is there a way to make different profiles from a same catalog? Joe, yes, there is. As long as you identify the different editing styles with a different star or a color or a flag rating in Lightroom, you can add the big Lightroom catalog and just tell us what images to use for building that AI profile. So let's say if I say that, go ahead, Justin.
I'll give you a quick tutorial on that right now. Probably the simplest way to do it, let's just say that these 3 photos would be style 1. If I just select those 3 and create a collection and call it style 1, and then I can just do that for my whole catalog, right? So I want to make sure that we'll go back to the original here, and then let's just say this is style 2. And then when I go in, now I'll close this out. I'll go into Aftershoot and I will start building AI profile. So build a new profile, and this will be style 1. I click on continue. I'll choose that most recent catalog, add it in, continue. And then what I'll do is go to my collection, just say style 1, only use the style 1, and there's those 3 photos in that collection, right? So I have the 3 photos for style 1, and then I would go back and build another profile and call it style 2, and then I would just find that style 2 collection and then just upload the 1 photo from style 2. So as long as you have a system in place to how all these different styles would look, you can do this quite easy. Again, I love the collection version because it's a little bit easier than like filtering by 5 stars. And I actually made the mistake of condensing some old catalogs and I actually messed it up because I had files that were edited in one style labeled the wrong way. And so what I ended up doing was actually uploading a bunch of images that weren't like it and destroying the profile. So with this way, I can it's much easier for me to just say, okay, great, only the ones that fit this style go in these categories. Whereas if I were to select all and just use the 5 stars, I'd get a kind of a hodgepodge of anything that has a 5 star, which may include some stuff that wasn't edited in style 1.
Okay, interesting. I think someone had a question. How did you jump back to the main chunk of images after making the small catalog? I believe Justin didn't make a small catalog. He just made a small collection. So it's the same big catalog, but he just made a small collection.
Yep, it was that one big catalog that I had, and I just built a collection within it. So I can reopen that up if you'd like to see how collections work. Collections are a really powerful tool. And we forgot another really important thing about editing, Harshit.
What's that?
We can now edit virtual copies.
That is correct. Yes.
So what I'm going to do here, just to show you that fast little step I did there, I simply clicked on a photo, and then I said create collection, and then this would be style 3, let's call it. And so you can see over here in my collections, I have style 1, style 2, and style 3, right? So I've now segmented the photos from this bigger catalog into smaller collections. And collections are a really powerful tool, especially when it comes to training profiles and editing, because it does allow you to, make some specific decisions as to what you're including without, having to do too much work on that. Now I'm going to show you what virtual copies look like. So for me personally, I always did my virtual copies for my black and whites. So we can now train and learn how to edit from your virtual copies, as well as actually edit those virtual copies. So in this case, I'm going to actually select all my images, and I'm going to head to library mode. I'm going to build virtual copies of everything. So now I'll have a second version. And I'm going to show you what I actually do for my real life weddings. So I make virtual copies of everything when I open up the catalog. I'm going to quit here, and I'm going to head back to Aftershoot, and I'm going to go new album, start editing, and I'm going to first select my profile. So I'm going to use my super mega clone. I'm not going to crop and straighten because I think I might have already done that. I'm going to choose the catalog, add the catalog, and I'm just going to edit that one collection for this purpose. Yep, awesome. And I'm going to just choose my RAWs and JPEGs. I don't want virtual copies. I just want those original 112 photos. So I'm going to select all 114 photos, just the RAWs and JPEGs. So I'm going to edit those really quick. It should take about a minute. And then what I'm going to do is actually edit it again, but now I'm going to only edit the virtual copies. So now I'm going to have both a color and a black and white version of all of my images. And what this does is it allows me to just kind of go through on the fly and choose what black and whites I actually want to keep without having to do much editing. So the editing just completed on the first 114 photos. I'm going to click on edit again. It's going to shows the same catalog I had there before. Now what I'm going to do is actually choose my black and white profile, click on continue, and now I'm going to click virtual copies. So now it's going to edit the other 114 photos in black and white. So now I'll have both versions available to me. So as soon as it's done, we'll open up a catalog and see color and black and white photos.
Yeah, that's very smart. Why did you wait until this long to add support for virtual copies?
So we did the. So I know it took us a while to actually to add virtual support copy because there was some instances really early on in what we were doing in which we were having some issues with people trying to train on virtual copies that weren't actually edited, and there was some stuff. So yeah, we decided to delay it. But so now you can see I've actually got everything in my profile in color and black and white, which is fantastic. And again, I'll tweak some of the black and whites. My black and whites have changed a lot over the years. So kind of every couple of years, I would do a little bit of something different. And that's why you'll see some inconsistency with them and the exposure. But for me, this is huge because I'm doing a lot with very little here, right? So the majority of these photos are good to go for me. And I have both versions, color and black and white of everything.
Perfect. I'll take a few more questions. One from our good friend Robert Pugh. His question is, any update on Capture One support? Robert, I'll just say this. We'll get in touch with you very soon. One of our team members will be sending you a message very soon with hopefully some good news. Okay. There's another question. There's another question around how long any option on using edits for those who do not use Lightroom. There is a way to use Aftershoot with Adobe Bridge and Adobe Lightroom Mobile. Justin, can you just tell us a bit about that workaround? That being said, we are working on adding official support for those two apps very soon. But Justin, do you want to tell us a bit about the hack that people can use to edit? Let's say someone uses Bridge. How can they use it? Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you are a Bridge user, you will need Lightroom Classic on your computer. So you do have to download Lightroom Classic. But what Adobe Bridge does is it actually, the edits are saved to the photos. So if you simply import all of your photos from Adobe Bridge into, I'm trying to think if I have Bridge on the computer so I can really show you. But you can actually just import all of your edited photos into Lightroom and the edits will appear. And then you can then train your profile from those images. So wherever your edited images are, just import them into Lightroom. Let's see, can I edit something super fast? I'm really unfamiliar with Bridge, so maybe not. But you know, you could take these edited photos from here.
I believe Bridge uses XMP to save all the edits, and Lightroom can then read that XMP file and save that in a Lightroom catalog, which they can then add to Aftershoot to build their AI profile.
Exactly. So you just import your photos into Lightroom, then you would go and import that into Aftershoot to build your profile. And then for editing purposes, the process would be the same, except you're going to start in Lightroom. So import everything into Lightroom. And then what you would do is you would actually come in, so you select all, and then you would make sure to
Command S should do the trick as well.
Save metadata to files. So you're going to save your edits to the file, and for the Aftershoot edits, and then you could just open up those files in Bridge. Yeah. I don't have anything that I can actually show. I'm like, oh, let me do it. And I'm like, no, I don't have it. Yeah. So that's how you would do it. You would just, again, save metadata to the files from Lightroom, and all those edits will be written to the files, and then you can open them back up in Bridge. So right now, unfortunately, you still have to funnel through Lightroom, but as Harshit mentioned, there is some stuff in the works for Bridge users. So we'll hopefully be able to get you guys locked and loaded soon.
Yep, that is correct. There's a question. How do you decide on which black and whites to keep, or do you deliver both versions to the client, Justin?
That's a fantastic question. So I actually, again, using collections is my favorite thing because it eliminates one really annoying step, right? So let's just say, let's find the sunset. I don't want sunset black and whites. So I have my color image, and then I'm coming here to my black and white. If I simply hit the delete key, it removes it from the collection, which if I were to do that in, say, the actual file itself, right? So if I were to be here and click delete, it's going to ask me, it's going to prompt me, do I want to remove it from Lightroom, etc. So when you're in a collection, it actually doesn't do that. So it's a lot easier just to click and delete on stuff. Oops, sorry. It's a lot easier to just go through and say, oh, I don't want this, and delete it, and it disappears within Aftershoot.
Lovely.
Sorry, within
Lightroom. Yes, multitasking, Justin. Multitasking much.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my personal thing. I really, again, if you're a Lightroom user, I highly encourage you to start playing around with collections because they really do offer a lot of versatility and speed within things. So, you know, if you've ever seen me quote my 98.7% accuracy within delivering my files from Aftershoot's culling to clients, that's because I actually test it this way. So I build a collection of all of my images, like everything that's been, you know, edited, and I have all the stars and colors here. And then I would just filter by my 5 stars. And as I go through, I can actually determine, like here, I selected one that was not the Aftershoot selection because it's the color red. So I can actually filter and see exactly what my clients got that Aftershoot chose and exactly what my clients did not get. So yeah, very exciting to be able to do that. But that's a real quote. It's 98.7% accurate because it's learned from me over time.
Perfect. Awesome. So Justin, I think we are nearing the 1 hour mark. Why don't we just stop the screen share, go back to answering some questions. I think there's a few questions that I want you to pin on the screen and just take some time to answer those because I feel they're beyond my level of expertise. But just a note to everyone who's watching. If you want to, the big surprise that we had today was that we were going to release pre-built AI profiles very soon for people who do not have enough images to create their own AI profiles in Aftershoot. If you want to be the first ones to try it out, just drop your email down below this live, and we'll be sure to get in touch with you and provide you these pre-built AI profiles to test and provide your feedback to us on what we can do to improve. If you already submitted your email, you don't need to do it again. But in case you haven't, and you want to try out pre-built AI profiles, do drop your email in the comment below. But yeah, Justin, I think Eugene, yes, Exactly.
Awesome. So Eugene, that's a great question. So you're asking how to get around that XMP issue. I think it cuts off your question here. So I'm gonna take it down so I can actually read it. So you're asking when you reopen, you get a warning message that there is XMP in Lightroom and on the disk. So there isn't a way to necessarily get around that. Because what's happening is because it's already in Lightroom, there is XMPs being created on the server and there's XMPs being created by Aftershoot. What I would recommend in this case, I personally, my workflow is I take my files from my memory card. I actually download them directly to the hard drive that I want them to be stored on. Then I run my cull and then I bring them into Lightroom. And I do this because I see that, do you want to overwrite the XMPs and all of this sort of stuff too often? So I personally, I just go in the order the order of events, so to speak. So I will do my cull and I make sure that, if I'm delivering my clients a sneak peek, I will go in and actually, do my cull before I do the sneak peek. It's one of the ways that I kind of keep myself accountable as a photographer, is just saying, okay, if I'm going to do a sneak peek, I should have the final set of images before I do the sneak peek. I know they're dying to see their photos the night of the wedding, but a lot of times they probably aren't. They're probably having fun with their friends and whatnot. So I'm not going to post it until like the Monday, because that's when my social media engagement is the most, right? So I want to make sure that I take that Sunday, and it only takes me about 30 minutes to really revise a cull. So again, using keyboard shortcuts and really learning the system, it's helpful. So I'll just take, my morning coffee the day after a wedding. I will sit down. I've already run it through Aftershoot, so I'm literally just sitting there tweaking my results before I bring it into Lightroom. So that's my personal workflow. If I were doing family sessions, I would do it the same way. I would make sure that I'm ingesting them, running the cull before I bring them into Lightroom. Because I also find that it's a more seamless process. You don't have to worry about reading metadata, writing metadata, overwriting stuff that you didn't want to overwrite and whatnot. It's just like point A, point B, point C is the way I do it. So.
Okay, that's great. All right. As a note, we would love a tutorial video for something like that. Yes, I think we do need to get a bunch of more tutorial videos up and running. I believe Justin's working hard on that, right, Justin?
Yes, I have a very long list of videos. If you would like to see a video, if you have any questions or anything specific, I'd love to know. I'm on the Facebook group. You can message me on Facebook. Let me know what kind of videos you're looking for. I do actually plan on doing my full workflow, so I'll show you start to finish how I use Aftershoot to cull and edit weddings, including that black and white thing and all of that sort of stuff. So my efficient way of getting everything done, because for me, having used it a lot, obviously I've gone from like 12 to 15 hours to deliver a wedding down to 3. So that's a huge time savings and bonus. So I want to pass that information on to you. But yes, please do message me if you have questions about something and you want to see a tutorial video, because I will make that happen.
Amazing. All right, Justin, anything else that you want to share with our listeners and watchers?
No, I think that's that. I mean, I could share all day. I wish we could do these things all day, but I'm super excited to just show you guys a little bit of what's coming. We haven't even scratched the tip of the iceberg, right? I think the next couple months are going to be every time.
Huge.
Yeah, every time you see something that says, "Hey, huge lunch and learn coming up." This was the smallest one, right? My selections is big, right? That's a cool feature, but this was probably the smallest lunch and learn you're going to see over the next few months. So do definitely
Smallest in terms of content, not in terms of length, I believe.
Yes, yeah. It was a full hour. It was a full hour, but yeah, as far as what it actually is, the smallest little
Yeah.
little features that we have over our roadmap coming up. So
And we're also focusing on making the app more snappier and faster to use, because we've noticed a lot of people saying that, hey, I mean, they're facing some sort of lags and delays while they're scrolling through images, especially even when you have a spinning hard disk or a NAS. So we are working on speeding that portion up dramatically with the next update that's launching in the first week of June. So hopefully that would again make the final review process much more seamless. And a lot of things that I cannot share right now I'm very excited about. So we literally have like 10 to 15 different game-changing things that we already have almost completed, which we cannot wait to share with you. But again, we're trying to take things slow, one at a time, because we don't want to like launch something big without proper testing, and that ends up breaking everything. So we don't want that, because we know like the busy season is coming up. You want to make sure that your workflow is logged in and it doesn't fail on you at the right time when you want it. So we're trying to like be patient and take our time with things. And yeah, I mean, just stay tuned. This again, for people who were not able to watch this webinar, this was recorded. It would be saved in the Facebook group, on our event page on Facebook, and also on our YouTube channel. If you haven't followed us already, do head out to YouTube and follow us and subscribe. You'll see all the latest tutorials that Justin creates on the YouTube channel. And yeah, this video will be available after stream. That is correct. I just got a question about that. All right, that is it. Hopefully we answered all your questions. And if you have any other questions, please write to us on hello@aftershoot.com, or from our in-app support, or onto the Facebook group. Although, yeah, we don't recommend using Facebook group as a support channel. But again, if you cannot get a hold of us from other places, you can always, that's the last resort, so to speak.
Awesome.
There's one
Thank
question. Someone,
Oh,
yeah, someone catch me up. What did I miss? You missed a bunch of things, Facebook user. But that being said, it's all recorded. You can revisit the video again. Just to summarize, we had updates, overview of the updates, the reskin, my selections, support for editing virtual copies, support for different languages, and also pre-built AI profiles coming soon. So that's what you missed. If you want to get more detailed overview of all those things, you can rewatch the video. But yeah, that's the gist of it.
Awesome. Thank you all for tuning in. We're around if you have any questions, and we'll see you on the next Lunch and Learn.
See you all. Bye-bye.